Credit Union, your St. Louis
Hockey Fan Report. Aloha and welcome to the show. I'm Guy the Hawaii Blues fan. And like always, I am now joined by Miss Ashley Slapshot Jones. How are you doing, Miss Ashley?
I'm great. How are you?
I feel really good. Do you remember what we were talking about yesterday?
Yes, we were getting ready to rate the Western Conference captains.
Yeah, but there was something else. We talked about the scandal yesterday.
Yes.
And remember me saying that this wasn't going away?
Yes.
Today, Kevin Cheveldayoff, I probably said his last name wrong. He is the current GM for the Winnipeg Jets. He was the assistant GM. He was not given any punishment. He kind of did a press conference today. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see all of it. I got to see a little bit of it and, you know, what he said. And he was contrite and all of this. Whether or not he should have been punished, that's not for me to decide. But the major fallout of this is first of all, it sounds like the NHLPA knew about this in 2010. Donald Fuhrer knew about this and didn't do anything. So now they're asking for an independent investigation, and the owners are slightly upset with their protege, and the only NHL commissioner, the only commissioner the NHL's ever had in oh man, I just lost his name. It just slipped right through my head.
Gary Bettman.
And Gary Bettman, yeah. You know, the only guy that got booed into the Hall of Fame. You know, this is the storm from this is not done. It's going to get bigger, right? I don't think this is going away. I think this is going to be a black eye on the entire season. I also am highly concerned that this is going to. So today, and I don't remember the exact incident. It was with Pittsburgh, right? Actually, it's yellow, Chris, and you can kind of see some yellow there. But I thought about taking it off. I said, no, it's kind of a cool look. So you can kind of hollows it out. So I kind of like it. So I left it there. Got Chris Lambert saying what's up, guys. My mouse is not working that great, so I may not be able to show your comments as well as I normally do. But I'm heavily concerned at how far-reaching this is. What I was talking. There was an issue in Pittsburgh now from a couple of years ago where one of the minor league players apparently assaulted his wife or something, his ex-wife, and there's now something going on with that, right? And the
I
lawyers
missed all of that.
Say again?
I missed all of that today.
Yeah. So this was not even the tip of the iceberg. This was the and I'm sorry, my hand looks so funky. I wish and it's been bad today. This is a snowflake on the iceberg.
Yeah.
Right. This is going to be, again, what we talked about yesterday, culture change. And it's got, you know, where's it going to start? Right. And who's responsible? Does firing everybody change anything? And honestly, I don't think it does.
No.
Right? You know, has Gary Bettman made mistakes? Yes, Gary Bettman has made mistakes. Has, you know, a lot of people have made mistakes. To me, this falls on Stan Bowman more than anybody else. Right?
For this situation, yes, but with the handling of it is where Bettman comes into play too, because he also didn't handle it. Not everybody is satisfied with not firing. I don't know how to say his name either, but the person that he didn't fire that had the press conference today.
Yeah, Cheveldayoff.
There's a lot of people that aren't happy about that.
Well, it's not only that; it's also coming down with Gary Bettman, or not Bettman, Coach Q coaching the game the night before the meeting. Right now, he did make a statement about that, and I thought that he really. It was a very important. I wanted to make sure that nobody said that I prejudged him.
Yeah.
Right. And that, I think that's huge. I think that's huge. And I'm sorry. I think Bettman really, other than when this first came out, first of all, there's one thing about this that when it first came out, the thing that I remember hearing the most was, why is this a big deal? It happened 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know, and believe, you know, I know this is going to, that's got a little bit of a, it's got a little bit of a substance to it.
Yeah.
Right. What we don't, you know, first of all, and I say that in that I also understand it. Now, let me just kind of put some retrospect in here, right? I have suffered from depression for a very long time. And while I was in the service, it was swept under the rug many times. I mean, it was straight swept under the rug. You don't want to get kicked out. You've been in too long. We'll do something else. We'll say this is something else. So it got swept under the rug. So when I got out, instead of going and trying to get some treatment, I agreed with what they said. I don't have it. And it took me, you know, more than 10 years before I finally got to the point where I broke down. Mm-hmm. So I understand that right there, that has a lot to do with this, you know. I'm trying to get my mouse to work a little bit, and it's not, so I can kind of get to your comments a little bit. Chris Frederick, and Chris, I'll mention Chris here in a second. This is going to open up what really goes on in locker rooms. Absolutely it is. Mm-hmm. Hey, ladies and gents, did we say the Central Captains yet? No, we have not gotten there, Ryan. We're kind of talking about this first. I think this is just important. Cheveldayoff should have been fired. Empty words I don't want to hear. I will learn from this. You know, I get that too, but at the same time, you know, it's like, and I'll kind of put it out this way, and it's not a perfect scenario, or the president does something wrong, the vice president knows it. Do you fire them both? No, and usually you fire the president, not the vice president, right? It's one of them, because the president's the one that made the decision. It's the one that makes the decision. And in this case, Stan Bowman made the decision, and that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I think, and not only did Stan Bowman make the decision, the other part of this is Coach Quinville coming in and saying, I don't have time for this. I got a championship to win. You know, that had a lot to do with it. And some of this goes in today. We're going to rank the captains. And I actually ranked the Chicago captain extremely low because of this. Right? I extremely, Cheveldayoff was in the room with all the people that had the ability to make the decisions. That's absolutely right. They were people above him.
He didn't have the power to make that decision.
Yeah, I think in this case, and I knew this was going to come up. Here comes Chris Lambert calling me out, but that's fine. Chris Lambert says, that's a completely botched scenario and case from the beginning, and how poorly has this been handled? Very hard shame on all participants involved. You know, it is, but at the same time, you know, the buck's got to stop somewhere. Right? To me, Stan Bowman was the buck. Mm-hmm. Right? If Stan Bowman made that decision, you know, I've served under CEOs that have made poor decisions. Right? I've had to support those. I've had to follow those orders and support those decisions, no matter how poor they were. Right? That was my job. Mm-hmm. Right? That's how the chain of command works. In this case, the chain of command failed John Doe, plain and simple. But Cheveldayoff took it up the chain of command. It bypassed him, and that's where I have okay, Chris Frederick says Cheveldayoff also cooperated with the investigation. He was the only one who said he was in the room, and John McDonough made the decision, not Bowman. Okay, fair enough. I didn't. Again, I haven't been able to see the report yet. I've been trying to find it. I haven't been able to see it. So that's a little bit there. And Chris Lambert says, I'm not calling you out, Guy. In fact, you, Ashley, and Windy City Hockey are my mentors and guides and how I understand this. Well, Chris, we really appreciate that, right? We really do. By the way, so this isn't going to go away. It's going to be a topic of discussion for a little while. Actually, and it kind of needs to be.
Yeah, Robert, I see that.
Oh, Rob, yeah, good. He makes a great point.
Very good point.
Right? Very good point. But remember, the XO, right, wasn't the one that was being, he wasn't the one that was being charged, right? They weren't going to the XO. They were going to the CO and the guy that below the CO that gave the order. Now, the XO did shoot himself in that movie. But it is that is kind of some of it. Would they had he lived, would they have gone after him? Maybe. I don't know. He's not the one who executed the order. The order was given above him. The person who executed the order should have known it was unlawful and not executed it. That's the my point on that one. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's where I'm at on there. One of the other things that we were going to get into before we get into these captains is today Clifford was placed on COVID protocols.
Yes.
And James Neal's missing a few chiclets.
Yes.
Apparently something happened in practice. I didn't see. I don't know. But somewhere he bumped somebody or hit something or he took a puck and he's missing some teeth. They had to go searching for him. He went to the dentist. He'll probably be fine. Clifford being on COVID protocol doesn't concern me, being that he's one of those guys. Mm-hmm. However, what concerns me is this is number 5.
Number 4.
5.
Who's
right?
Who was before him? Because it was Sod, O'Reilly, Husso, and now
4.
Clifford.
Yeah. So it's going through the locker room, right? Mm-hmm. And Chris, I agree with you. They do need an IG, right? IG is an attorney general or an investigative component that works just with. They're like they're separate, right? And you know what? It's the same thing. It's the same thing that they need with the player safety.
Yeah.
Right, that third party outlook that is not in any way, shape, or form beholden to the NHL. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'll tell you what, I will give the Blackhawks as much credit as I can on the way the independent investigation. Yeah. A lot of times these quote unquote independent investigations are not independent. Okay, they're not, right? The investigators are beholden to the people that paid them, and a lot of times these investigations are skewed that way, right? This company, really did a great job. It was a straight independent investigation. With Cheveldayoff, I think that he probably should have been suspended for a period of time. Maybe not lost his job, but just suspend him for a month, suspend him for 2 weeks without pay, something along those lines. But I'm not as hell bent on him as I am, Bowman and Coach Quinville, right? Bowman, I don't think will ever work in the NHL again, right? And he may not work in hockey again.
Yeah.
Right, and that's going to be something that really happens. Once everyone to forget this ever happened with the Blackhawks as quick as possible. That's not going to happen, right? It's a great quote, but it's just not going to happen, Ryan. It's absolutely not. And I wanted to go back and mention the guy before, and damn, my mouse is really bothering me today. I got to get me Chris Frederick. We have a new affiliate, actually.
Really?
Check out Coast to Coast Hockey on Facebook. I have joined them as somewhat of a writer. Someone who's a little connected to them. I'm bringing up the page here for everybody to see it. They've got over 9,000 likes. They're a very I know the person that runs it, and I don't know if I'm okay to say her name or not, so I'm not going to. But I tried to do a show with her a couple of times, but some things happened that it didn't get through. But maybe we'll be able to later. This is a pretty interesting group. Our should say group, call it a page. Let me bring it up here on the stream. There it is, Coast to Coast Hockey Fans. You look for my nickname. Obviously you guys all know what it is, the Hawaii Blues fan, and you'll see I put the show in there today. So I'm hoping that they're going to let the show start percolating. I'll put I might put the pregame show. I'll put the off day games. Also, a couple of they've got 30 or 40 people that are connected and doing writing or putting in posts. And I've talked to some of them about possibly coming on the show. One of the guys wants to come on and talk about the Blackhawks scandal. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's try and get that, and we'll work on that. Matt Lowe says, let me bring this up here real quick. Matt Lowe says, does a video coach have that much pull with the team, though? I understand they were hanging out together, which shouldn't happen, but he needs to take some responsibility. It's still bad, but I mean, come on. Okay, so first of all, you need to understand a little bit. He was probably 19 or 20, right? And maybe he didn't. And actually, I think he did take responsibility. He went and reported it.
Yeah.
Right? He went and reported it. He didn't let it, he went and reported it. It's uncomfortable. Locker rooms are locker rooms. Things happen in locker rooms, right? I know when I was in the Blues locker room, the alumni locker room, guys would just strip right there, right? Completely naked and go to the shower. Right? It was just like that. So, the locker room is the locker room. However, there is a line. And it's no longer transparent as it used to be. And I think that's what's got a lot of people. I think that's what's coming up a lot more, is that line is not transparent anymore. Right? Not not going to happen. This is one of the worst incidents I've heard of in my history of following the NHL. Yeah, but there've been a few worse. There've been a few worse. Right? Ryan Graves says, we love the interviews. Absolutely. Chris Fredericks says, we're happy to have you guys. Chris, we're happy to join with you. We're happy to connect. The fan report is about the fans, and you guys are trying to bring the fans in. I think this is a good connection for both the fan report, the Blue Note fan report, the St. Louis fan report, the fan report media group. And I mean, and I'm enjoying it. We're going to get, we're going to get to the captains here. So an adult, you know what?
I'm sorry, but that whole comment just makes me angry. And I know it's not meant to be, but that's victim shaming. He's coming off like a victim shaming. And that is not something that I think is needing to be brought up in here. You can totally say no and make the reports and not have to have any accountability. He didn't ask for this attention. It happened. He reported it. No one did anything.
And at some point it got to a point where he just couldn't handle it anymore. Mm-hmm. And he brought it up again, years later. But and my issue here, and you don't, let me explain something to you, Matt Lowe. And I don't know if you are or not. Are you a veteran? Right? If you are, let me ask you, when you were 19 and 20 in a war zone, were you mature enough to be in that war zone? Because I'll tell you what, I wasn't. I was 21. And I had 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds looking up to me And I was nowhere near ready for that. I was not mature enough. I might have been an adult, but I guarantee you I wasn't mature enough to be in that minefield as long as I was and to deal with some of the things I saw and did out there. So just because you're an adult legally doesn't mean that you're absolutely an adult. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at.
I agree.
Okay, so Chris Lambert says, when I meant not going to happen, I was referring to the situation going away, which is so not going to happen. I agree. Does anyone think Bedman will go? Jose, hey, buddy, I might try and make it out tonight. It all depends. My hand has really been bothering me. If I don't today, I go to the doctor tomorrow, and I'll try on Friday. It says if you read well, Matt Lowe, I want to read the report. I'm trying to find it. It says that he was hanging out with him and didn't even see the show yet. Just saying. Okay, you know, and again, I don't, Matt Lowe.
Just because you hang out with somebody doesn't mean that you want them to make sexual advances towards you. End of story.
Yes.
I can
Right.
hang out with any guy, and any one of them could make a sexual advance that I am not welcoming. And
Yep.
it doesn't mean that this guy wanted it or had it coming or anything.
Now that I agree with, and we talked about it yesterday with the girls going on. Well, you know, Matt, be honest right now. I'm going to back off your comments, okay, bud? Unfortunately, you're taking the show in a direction that I don't feel comfortable going in. And it's something that I think we need to talk about offline before I deal with it anymore on the show, just to be honest with you, buddy. And it's not, I'm not going to sit there. I don't block people. And I'll tell you what, we'll talk about that at the end of the show. We're going to get into the captain soon. Is O'Reilly back tomorrow? No, O'Reilly has to miss 2 more games. Then he goes through the 2 negative tests. He could be back by Anaheim. You know, see, that's a little. Again, Matt, I'm going to back off your comments for now, and we'll talk later. I don't know. To me, time shouldn't have mattered. Period. None of us know how he was handled, and that's true, right? That's true, Robert, and I'm with you on that. So, hey, guys, we're going to kind of stop that here. Otherwise, I'll talk about it the whole show. It'll take over the show, and I don't want it to. Let's talk about the captains. Now, we had somebody yesterday, and I forget who it was. I know he's going to come and tell me. Ask me to rank the NHL captains, and we said, you know what, that's pretty good. I think it was Chris Lambert that did that. Might have been. I'm not completely sure. Or it was either Chris Lambert or Ryan Green. Let's see.
I think it was Green.
Was it Greeny?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to see who put the comment. You know, of you. Yeah, Ryan Green. So hey, Ryan. So what we did, me and okay, so Matt's comments are on YouTube, and unless I show, if you're watching on a different platform, you don't get to see them. You only see the comments from the platform you're watching. I try and show some of them up. I don't show all of them up, and that was actually, Wendy. I think we're good today. Maybe tomorrow. I think, or not tomorrow. Friday, I might have you on because Friday's Open Phones or Open Fan Friday, and we'll let everybody talk about. So we're going to talk about the captain. So we'll start in the Pacific Division. We'll go from number 8 to number 1. We'll each tell you who our number is and why we put him at that number. I'm pretty sure that our number 8 for the Pacific is the same.
Yep.
I have the Calgary Flames because they don't have a captain.
Same.
And to me, that's kind of a bad. That to me looks really bad on Matthew Tkachuk.
Yes,
right?
It does. I agree.
You know, and when we get to the Central Division, I think there's some guys that it looks bad on that side too. So for number 7, I have Andre Kopitar from the LA Kings. Right, and the reason I have Kopitar at number 7, LA is in a free fall, and they have been for a couple of years. He's been the captain on that team for this free fall period, and it just doesn't seem like he's building a team. I'm backing off on that. And actually, I flip flopped on this. I had my number 7 or number 6 at number 7, and flip flopped them back a couple of times.
Okay.
So you're number 7?
I was literally basing mine off of the 10% that we played this season.
Okay.
So my number 7 is Mark Stone because he's only played 2 games. I mean, he got injured.
And that's fair. That's fair. Again, now I looked at this. So Ashley looked at this for this season. I looked at it as their captaincy. So length of captaincy, things that have happened, championships, all of that stuff mattered to me. So my number 6 was Giordano from Seattle. He could have been 8 easily because he just took over. It's a brand new team. The fact now you look at the Knights, they didn't name a captain for 3 years. They went with the assistant route. So the fact that they named a captain, I think, stands up. Good for him. He's played well. He's becoming a leader on that team. He is a leader on that team, and he's becoming a statistical leader also. So yours?
I actually have the same one at number 6. Just for the same reasons. It's the first season for the Kraken. He hasn't necessarily proven himself as much as the other captains have. I'm optimistic that he'll do better than what he's done in the few games he's played, but he's just not there yet.
Okay, so who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Ryan Getzlaf.
And why do you have Getzlaf at 5?
Honestly, I was looking at the rankings. The Ducks are in the middle of the pack of the Pacific. He only has 7 assists in 10 games. He's a -4 rating. He's kind of a middle of the pack captain to me.
Okay. Okay. I was just reading Matt Lowe's quote. You know what, Matt? My book's kind of laying on my board there. You know what, Matt? Maybe Friday when we have open phones, we'll talk a little bit more about this. I get where you're at, but I disagree with you. And what I won't do is what some people would do. Oh my God, I can't believe you said that. Block you and never talk to you again. That I will not do. I will never ever do that because you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm happy that you feel comfortable voicing it on this show. That means a lot to me. Do you agree or disagree there, Ashley?
I agree. I'm sorry. I'm reading Shockley's comment.
Okay, I haven't gotten to Shockley's comment yet, but the fact that he can do that he feels comfortable voicing his opinion like that means a lot to me, and I'm really up there with that one. So okay, so I have at number 5, I have Horvat from the Vancouver Canucks. I'm looking at the overall time. Horvat's been there since 2019, so he doesn't have a long tenure, but since he's been there, let me turn that down so if it happens again, it won't play. If it happens, pardon me, he's and I love this. He says we've disagreed plenty, guy, never personal, and you're absolutely right. But like I said, I feel I'm very flattered and very happy that you feel comfortable putting an opinion like that on this show, knowing that you're not going to be judged for it because we're going to ask questions, right? What's the motto of this show? Be curious, not judgmental.
Exactly.
Right? That's what we are. We're curious, not judgmental. So I had Horvat. I think just the tailspin that the Canucks are in, the fact that they should have done better in the North last year than what they did. They've gotten some guys, and they're doing okay this year. But, with his tenure in that, I just think that he could do a little better. So my number 4 is Logan Couture from I got to make sure I don't from the San Jose Sharks. These Sharks are in a tailspin, but they're having a good season to start with, and I think that Couture's leadership is part of that. So that's why I have him there. So you're at number 4, right?
Yeah, and I have Horvat there.
Okay.
For pretty much the same reasons that you said. He's just kind of a newer captain. middle of the pack again. Like my 4 and 5 were kind of just people I put in the middle because I don't know them as well. But looking at his stats for the season and the placement of the team, I just feel that he's number 4.
And I'm with you there. So your number 3
Is Kopitar.
Kopitar.
He's actually not doing too bad himself. Like the team isn't doing great, but he has 7 goals, 6 assists, and he's a +1. He's actually probably the heart and soul of that team, which is what a captain's supposed to be.
Very, very good point. Very good point. I'm with that. Chris Lambert says we have our first game with the Sharks soon. Yeah, we do, coming up. So my number 3 was Stone, right? And the reason my number 3 is Stone was that he's only been the captain for 2 years, but he's been there from almost the beginning, right? I think he got traded for in that first season, or he came in the second season, and he has been a cornerstone of that team. And not only that, you look at when they named him captain, Petrangelo had just come over there. Here's a guy that had captained a team to the Stanley Cup on your team, and you're picking Stone over him. That's telling me something, right?
Yeah.
That's why, and I know he's only played 2 games this season, but I think his leadership and what he's done puts him in that for me. My number 2 was one of your lower ones. Was my number 2 is Getzlaf. Getzlaf has been a captain. He's almost of the 16 or 14 captains we're going over. He's the second longest tenured captain, if I remember correctly, are really close to it. He's been a captain since 2010. Our longest tenured captain's been a captain since 2008, 2009. Yeah, so he's the second longest tenured captain, and the what he's done with the Ducks. The Ducks are starting to pull things around, and just the way the Ducks treated him. He moved into first or second overall with yesterday. He had a milestone yesterday or a couple days ago, and the Ducks really backed him up really good. So so that's my number 2. Your number 2?
My number 2 is Connor McDavid. Speaking of Matt Lowe's question there, Connor McDavid is quite honestly amazing at getting points. He is a great hockey player. Putting him at number 2 does not mean that I think he's terrible whatsoever. He has 7 goals, 10 assists. He's rated +2. He's doing great. But what made me pause on putting him at number 1 was, even though I was going by the season, I had to go with what Guy had mentioned earlier about the ability to play in the playoffs. His teams have not made it very far, and that was something I had to consider.
Yep. So Wendy gets here and says that Getzlaf's the 3rd longest tenured captain. So I knew it was, I knew it was there. But we're just doing the West side. We're just doing the West. So in the Pacific, he's the longest tenured and second longest of the Western Division, Wendy. That's what I was meaning there, bud. I have Getzlaf at 2. You have McDavid at 1.
No,
your number
McDavid
1
at 2.
shocks me a little bit. So I'll let you do your number 1 first.
Okay. My number 1 is Logan Couture, which I know you rated him a lot lower, but I really hate playing the Sharks when they have Logan Couture. Plus, he's doing phenomenal. He has 3 goals, 6 assists. He's rated a +7. He's played in 7 games, so he is, doing more than a point a game. He is the Sharks. Like, he is what makes them scary, if they're scary at all, but he's the one that makes you think we got to watch him.
Yes, Logan Couture has been a Blues killer. I admit that. The one thing with Logan Couture is Logan Couture had to follow 2 very beloved long-term captains, right? In Joe Thornton and Joe Pavelski.
Yes.
And when you have to follow that, it makes it a little bit difficult. And not only that, he had to follow them into a rebuild, right? So how long he stays with the team is important. If he continues. So I didn't have him that low. I just had him at number 4.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't have him like all the way at the bottom. And I'll tell you what, my number 1, I could have easily made number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Right. My number 1 is McDavid because he is by far the next best player to Gretzky. In era to era, right? He's the Gretzky of this era. However, Gretzky won cups. And he won them quickly, like within his third year of being in Edmonton. Right? It wasn't like they didn't win them quickly. They got there very, very quickly. 3 technically because for some reason San Jose loves to strip the C. Marleau, then Thornton, then Pavelski. Okay, close. Mm-hmm. But Wendy's chiming in there, and we really appreciate you watching, Wendy.
Oh, and, yeah, Wendy.
Friday when we have open phones, I think if you can come on, there's another guy that's with the Coast to Coast Hockey that is wanted to talk about this a little bit. So I think glad you're number 1 and mine agree. But I could have easily put him at number 7. Mm-hmm. Okay, because it's the captain's job to lead the team in the playoffs, right? Yeah. And you know what? This is why when we get to the Central, I'm going to get roasted. I'm going to get roasted in the Central. Right.
I might too. So.
Say again?
I might too. So.
Yeah. So so what we want to do. So let's. Steven says that Magman McDavid, but I don't think he's a great captain. Just the playoffs put him lower. And I kind of had to look at that, but I also looked at, okay, if I'm going to lower him, who's done better? None of those captains captained a team to a Stanley Cup.
No, but Logan Couture has captained further into the playoffs.
Yes, he did captain them in 19. Was he there in 19? Mm-hmm. Okay,
and he was a thorn in my side when we was watching.
No. Actually, no. 18. He became the captain in 1920. It was Pavelski that was the captain when they went to the final. When they went to the Western Finals.
I thought it was Couture.
No, it was because I wrote down that Couture started in 1920 and we won the Cup 18-19.
Okay, fair enough.
So we're there. So we're there. So for me. That's the thing that I had the issue with. None of the captains in this here had captained their team to a cup. And if I'm going to make that the reason for dropping them, well, won't I make that the reason for dropping everybody else? So that, even though I'm looking at that, I think Getzlaf came in 10-19, came in 10 and 11. So he was on the team in 2007 that won a cup. So he has a cup, but he hasn't done it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. Good list though. Good. This is a good topic. Hey.
Yeah, it is.
Ryan, thank you. This has been a good topic. I enjoyed doing this, and I flip-flopped a lot. Got his team to the 3rd round, but that was in 2015. Okay, fair enough. That's a good point. Wendy, thank you. But again, I'm kind of looking at that. The Central is going to be a tough one, right?
Except for number 8. I think we agreed on number 8.
Yeah, we did agree on number 8. So we'll do the Central now. And you guys, I'm going to give a couple of minutes before we do the Central. So if you guys want to say anything about the Pacific real quick, because I know you're on about a minute delay. So we're going to talk for a minute and then we'll get into that. We'll talk, and Wendy, don't jump ahead of me, buddy.
But yes, Wendy, you are correct, but we're not there yet.
So yeah, but we're not there yet. Getzlaf is a leader, probably the best captain in the West. Again, that's not, I'm not disputing that. That's why I had him at 2nd, but he is in a bit of a dumpster fire right now, and that's not his fault per se. Say again.
That's why I had him at 5.
Yeah, that team is a bit of a dumpster fire, but he does hold that team together, and I do agree that he's a leader, and I felt the way the team treated him really told me that, you know. They really, that's what kind of moved him up in my rankings. Okay, so now we're going to get into Central. I think we gave a little bit of time there. So in the Central, our number 8, well, you can go ahead and say it.
The Coyotes. They
don't have a captain right now. And to me, this bodes very bad on Phil Kessel, a Stanley Cup winning player, multiple Stanley Cup winning player, and I just lost his name, the kid from St. Louis, Clayton Keller, right? The young stud. They've got the studs, yet they're not naming a captain. Part of this could be the news coach.
Yeah.
Right? And
they want to give him the opportunity.
They just lost OEL, who was their captain, but I'm kind of, I feel like you should have been able to come in and name a captain right off the get-go. And that, the fact that they can't, that tells me there's some issues in the locker room. Right? And that's the same way with Calgary. You know, you wonder with Calgary. Calgary's got young talent that definitely could. They've got people that could be CEO to wear the C there. Okay, so your number 7 is. I'm
sorry, Wendy. Jonathan Toews.
And why do you have him at number 7?
Well, in all honesty, the Blackhawks are doing terrible. He personally has 6 assists and is a -4 right now. He's not really leading. He is part of the whole
scandal
mess in Chicago right now. I just could not put him any higher.
Right. Yeah. So mine was Spurgear from and I
the
I
Wild.
Had to look this guy up. Right. Spurgeon from the Wild. I had to look him up. I to me, just the fact that I didn't know who the Wild's captain was. I mean, he's got decent numbers, but it just like the eye test.
Yeah.
Right. The eye and the ear test. He failed them both. So that's kind of why I have him there. Now, maybe I'll pay a little bit better attention to the Wild and he'll come up later. Right. But right now, that's kind of where I'm at. I think that, and I don't, to be honest, I bounced Tays all the way down to 8. I almost put Tays behind the Coyotes, who didn't have a captain. Right. So yeah. I'm with you there. Let's go to your number 6.
My number 6 was Spurgeon from the Wild. Again, he's a not very visual. Like, I don't see him when we're playing the Wild. Yeah. He is currently got 1 goal, 1 assist, is a -3 in 8 games. In his defense, he is a defenseman, so some defensemen don't get a lot of points.
Yes.
But I just don't see anything from him that stands out.
For defensemen, you're looking for a plus-minus somewhere between +10, -10.
Yeah.
Right? If they can keep it in that, if they can keep it in that range, then they're doing their job. Right?
Yeah.
You're also looking at with defensemen, if there's a stat of for defensemen, and I forget what it's called, but it takes in account their situations when they're on the ice, 5-on-5, penalty kill, power play, all those situations. Mm-hmm. So I'm that. So Wendy brings up a point, and Wendy, I thought about this. Okay. I really did. And you bring up a point and you say Tays missed an entire season, and 6 assists in 10 games is actually good. You're right. It is. And I'm okay with that. Here's my issue. I originally had Tays in the 2-3 spot. And when I first did it, right? And then when I went back and looked at how long he'd been a captain, he's been a captain since 2009. He was the captain when all this stuff hit. I'm sorry. And then he goes and backs Bowman. That right there, to me, took all his credibility he had, every ounce of leadership credibility he had, it destroyed it. Mm-hmm. Right? Absolutely destroyed it. in my thing. So since 2008, okay, that's right, 2008, 2009. So just before they came up, right? Just before they won the cup. So he was there. It has the captain, has the I don't know if he's the player rep, but you know he's with the he's part of that leadership, and that right there to me his credibility was shot. Right, and Wendy, I know God, you know what, Wendy? Let me see where we're at. We're at the 47-minute mark. We'll bring you on Friday because we're going to save this topic for next week. You know, for the Eastern side, but we'll bring you on Friday and we'll talk about this on Open Fan Friday. Right? I really would love that if you can. So you know, let me know, bud. So let's move on to who's your number 6? Or did you say your 6?
I said Spurgeon.
Okay, Spurgeon. Okay, let's move on to number 5.
Okay. You want to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah, no, you go first.
I got Jamie Benn. The Stars are not necessarily performing where I expected them to. And I mean, Ben has 2 assists. He's a -1. He's played in 8 games. You would expect more from him.
Well, see, you know why I put him there? I put him in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
He's been called out by his owner a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
That right there, really, I mean, if you're getting called out by your owner, that takes some of your leadership away. So Chris Shockley says, the only thing I have is Taze was young, too, and probably didn't know how to handle the situation.
But again, he defended...
he defended Bowman recently.
Yeah.
Recently, like after this came out, he said Bowman shouldn't have gotten fired, shouldn't have had to resign.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That Bowman didn't. He basically said Bowman didn't do anything wrong. Right? And we all know that that's not the case. So that's got a lot to do with it. So for me, the fact that Ben's been called out, and it's not just him, Ben and trying to think who their other big guy is, got called out too. Somebody will know who I'm talking about. The other popular player on Dallas, it's Ben and God, who's their 91? I know I should know it. I think he's the guy that sat on Pietrangelo.
Looking it up.
Yeah, I think he's number 91 on Dallas. Seguin. No, it's not. I don't think it's Seguin. It might be. Yeah, Tyler Seguin. Everybody's throwing Seguin in there now. So they've been called out by their owner a couple of times for not being the leaders. Ben sat on Pietrangelo. Okay, I wasn't completely sure. So that's where I put him at 4th or at 5th. My number 4. Here's where the and Robert says, "Okay, guys, I got it wrong. Sorry." But they make sure I know it, right? I love it. It's the funness of the show. So my number 4 is Ryan O'Reilly. Before you roast me, O'Reilly's been the captain for a season and a half. That's it. A season and 9 games. Last season, it really felt like the team was in disarray and that there may have been some leadership locker room issues that penetrated and ultimately led to a star player requesting a trade and another player, borderline star, deciding not to sign with the team, even though the contract was similar. Right? He left for almost nothing. I mean, the amount that he left for over wasn't really, really small in my eyes.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So that's kind of why I have O'Reilly at number 4. Your number 4?
My number 4 was Blake Wheeler. He has 0 goals, 1 assist, 0 game, or 3 games was it? I think it was 3 games. I can't read my own handwriting. He's not doing bad. He's not like over the top either. He's middle of the pack. The Jets are, number 2. So he's leading. The team is doing successful. So I couldn't be too hard on him.
Yeah. So for me, I have Wheeler at 3.
And I
right?
have, the person you had at 4 at 3.
Yeah, we flipped.
Yeah.
So I put Wheeler at 3 because first of all, he took him to the second round last season. They swept.
Mm-hmm.
They swept Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers like they were the last one. Oh, you're not roasted by me on this one. Thank you, buddy. Chris Lambert saying I didn't do something too bad. Right? Trying to show it here. There we go. And then Chris Shockley says, I would have him at 3. He seems to take himself instead of take it on himself instead of, and I know he does that, but I'd rather him rally the troops. Wheeler, what he's done with that team and what that team's done since he's been there. He's been the captain since 16-17. They've been in the playoffs. I think all 4 years he's been the captain. They had that really good playoff series against St. Louis in 19 that he was part of. So that was why I went there. And you can say why you put O'Reilly at number 3.
O'Reilly, I mean, he is the heart and soul of the Blues sometimes. I mean, just watching the video of the way he, congratulated Neighbors on getting his first goal. He leads. I think that he's part of the reason why the team has been able to forget about Vladdy's situation and just focus on hockey. And he's doing well. He's a point-a-game player for us so far until he got COVID. He's played in 5 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. He's a +3. I could sing his praises all day. He's my number 3.
Okay, and you know what? And he could easily be number 1.
He could.
Honestly, he could easily be number 1. That like for me, tenure had a lot to do with this.
Yeah.
Right? And I have to look not just at this season, but what he did last season. And
I'm only focused on this season. So
yeah, you were. So that's. I'm just giving people an ideal of why I'm kind of going where I went with this, right?
Yeah, of course.
And okay, so my number 2. Actually, I'll let you go with your number 2.
My number 2 is Landeskog. I considered putting him as number 1, but his suspension early in the season here had me, second guess that one. But he is, a phenomenal player. I can't say that I enjoy playing Colorado when he's playing, but that's good. He is very good for his team. I kind of was hoping that Colorado would let him go so we could have picked him up, so I was going to rate him pretty high.
Yeah, no, I you and me, actually, our Central is really close.
Yeah.
Right? Really close. So at number 2, I have Yossi, right? And the reason I have Yossi this high, first of all, Yossi's the captain of a sinking ship, yet he's not going anywhere, and the ship isn't as sinking as bad as everybody thinks it is. Right? They gave the Hurricanes, the team that won the Central, everything they had. They came close. They came within a whisker of really beating the Hurricanes. Right? Now they lost Tuukka Rask. Okay, they have Juan Soros. They're building him up. This team is not as bad as I thought it was. Now, I mean, they're again, I don't take the start. I don't take a good a start and look at it like everybody else does. And I don't take a bad a start and look at it like everybody else does. I'm looking at the overall. I think that I see more good than bad. I like when I see the Predators play. I like their tenacity on the ice. And that has a lot to do with why I have Yossi at number 2. And I'm guessing I know where you have Yossi.
He's my number 1 for all the reasons you said. He is currently 3 goals, 6 assists. He's rated a +6. He's a defenseman. He is really fun to watch, at least for me. I can't say that I've watched a whole lot of Predators games, but here recently I've been trying to catch him. I really like what he brings to the table for them.
Yeah. Hey guys, I just got a text, and I won't say who texted. When you guys rag on me about things, I actually love it. I don't take offense to it because you know what? And I kind of mentioned this with Matt Lowe, with Matt Lowe a little bit earlier. I want this to be a safe place. I want this show to be a safe show. I want this to be a show that you guys can say what's on your mind, and what you're thinking. And if I get something wrong, so tell me I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I really do.
No, I don't
You
have center ice.
like NHL center. Chris Lambert's asking if you have center ice.
No.
Right. No. I'll tell you what. One thing that it is possibly worth it. So there's two ways to get games.
Mm-hmm.
There's NHL Center Ice. Now you cannot stream them with Center Ice, but they're on your TV directly. Or you can get ESPN Plus, which is like
Plus.
$7 a month.
I have ESPN Plus. It's in the bundle. So I have Disney Plus, Hulu, and
right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I watch games using both, and I have hockey on. I have hockey on almost 24/7. It's either hockey or Alaska shows.
Yeah.
Survivor shows. That's what I'm watching. Those are the things that I watch. I like Homestead Rescue. I watch anything on history, the food that built America. Now they got the series coming up, the toys that built America. They have the engineering that built it. I love that stuff. But if I'm not watching that, I'm watching hockey. Right?
I have kids 5, 8, and 10. So if I'm watching TV, it's hockey. Otherwise, it's Disney because I can't beat them on that. The only thing I'll put my foot down about is hockey.
Yeah, that's why you have the computer, so you can go turn the computer on to watch the games on the computer.
Yeah, but I only do that for hockey.
So that's kind of where I'm at. DirecTV Stream has Bally Sportsman's West. Yeah, Matt Lowe, they do, but see, like I don't have DirecTV, and I live in an apartment building, so I have to have the cable, and I can only get regional cable. And even though someone's giving me their code, it's like gone out, and I've had to retry it, and I still don't get everything, and I've had issues with it, right? So, but I am trying. So my number one was Landeskog, and I did take in account his suspension, but I couldn't let that be more than what he's done since he's been there, right?
Pause for a second. Good luck, Chris. I'm sure you're going to be bragging. I'm sure you guys are going to win.
Yeah, you guys have. I wish I could go to Philly with you. I really do. I really am hoping to be there in late January for the Warrior Classic in January. It's a new streaming service. Well, I'll have to check that out, bud. Matt Lowe, I'll have to check that out and see what the cost is, because some of them streaming services, they're not cheap, and that stuff gets up there pretty quick, So especially when I'm not working and the show's not bringing in money yet.
We're working on that.
Landeskog is a rap shoot of suspensions. That is true. And I get that. When I look at my top four, Yossi, Wheeler, O'Reilly, Landeskog, he leaps. He leaps to me above those. Yossi's on a great team. He's a good leader, but he's on a bad team. If Landeskog is a bad leader, he's on a good enough team that covers it. Right? So that's kind of where I had to go with that. Matt Luck says Landeskog just like he gets dirtier. Well, you know what? And that's something that's another topic about dirty players. We could bring up the dirty players, and to be honest, there's probably about 7 or 8 players that I would never want on my team. But if they were on my team, I might be happy they're there.
Yeah.
Right? There's players that I would not want on my team at all. Right? I'll tell you right off the bat. I would not want Tom Wilson on my team. I would not want Kadri on my team. Right? That's just I think that's those are guys that, Wilson could just, if you do not have an extremely, extremely tight locker room, if you do not have a leader like Ovechkin, like Oshie, and I forget who else, there's the other big guy there, you're not going to have Wilson on your team. Those are the guys that can hold that together, right? And to be honest, I think the Blues lost some of that when Pietrangelo left, and I'm not saying anything about Ryan O'Reilly at all. I think he's good, but I think that some of the grittiness and the leadership when we lost Steen and Bomeister kind of took that away from that locker room, and that's why I think we dealt with some of the problems that we're dealing
And
with in the
Maroon.
locker room.
When we lost Maroon, we lost some of that too.
Oh yeah, Maroon was our last Jamie Tart, and we haven't had anybody. Clifford was supposed to come in and be that. He hasn't been. A lot of people would like Joshua to be that. I think Joshua's too young right now. I think, and I also think that Joshua is becoming a little bit more of a team player in that he's playing the O'Reilly system.
Mm-hmm.
He's being mentored by O'Reilly, and you can see that in his game. You can see that in his face-off wins, right?
Yeah.
Before
we end this, though, I think we should talk about something before we end. You can finish with that, but
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Marianne brought up a great question in the group. She wanted to know who goes down when we get Sundqvist back.
And I kind of looked at that. So right now, the Blues only have about $18,000 in cap space. Mm-hmm. But I think when he comes back, I read something that said that they actually wouldn't be in cap problems when he comes back. First of all, Joshua is going to go back down.
Yeah.
Joshua was a call-up specifically for O'Reilly. Mm-hmm. O'Reilly could be back
Sunday.
If not Sunday, he's going to be back for the Jets. Tuesday with the Jets. Mm-hmm. Right? I could see that because they say he's going to meet the team on the trip. So if they plan on him, that means he's starting to hit his negatives now. Right? He's having negatives now, and he's no longer symptomatic. But because he was symptomatic, he has to wait the 10 days.
Yes.
That's what that's telling me, right? Saad should be back. Saad just takes Clifford. Clifford comes out, Saad goes in. Not a big deal. You move some guys around. Not a big deal. When Sundqvist comes back, I think that the one that's probably going to be the biggest, I think Neighbors might go down.
Yep.
Right. Costin could go down because he doesn't have to go through clear waivers. But to me, I think while Neighbors has done good up here, he's I hate sending him down to juniors, but I think I would send him down to juniors until March when he turns 20 and bring him right up to Springfield, mm-hmm. Right? But let him go to juniors. Let him take that experience he has. Let him learn a little bit more. But that's kind of what I feel, right? That's what I think. Hey, John Hefner, how you doing, buddy? I know you're going to be on the road soon. You drive safe, please, my friend. Drive safe. Good show today again, actually.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Right? I had a lot of fun coming up with my ratings.
Yeah, no, it does. It did take a lot. I kind of looked at at first I was like, man, how do I find out where all the captains were, who they were and what they were? Because the first team I looked up was Arizona, and I couldn't find out who. Finally, I did a search and found, if you want to know who the captains are, the history of the captains for each team, go to hockeyreference.com. They have a tab there under captains, and it will show you all the captains current for every season. Right, and then each team, it will go through all their captains. So that was really good for me to see that and do that. Let's do the ratings again in January. That's not bad. We could do them again in January when we hit that 50% mark, right? Chris Lambert says great show again as well. Love interacting. Well, that's what the show's all about, guys. Right? This show is about you. I think it's great that we have an affiliate. In Coast to Coast Hockey. Please go join Coast to Coast Hockey. I mean, I could have, tagged 500 friends and did that, but that's, I'd rather just tell you guys to go check it out from here. If you do, make sure you ring the bell so you get notifications when stuff come in. HockeyDB, Hockey Database also has Captain's History. Thank you. Wendy, I appreciate that a lot. a lot of good topics today. Toronto is starting to turn things around, which I kind of thought they would. I didn't think that they got too much talent for that team to not turn it around. And not only that, Colorado's starting to turn it around. So Toronto dismantled the Knights today. And for the Knights, that's something to think about. But hey, before we go, guys, don't forget, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, please put those thumbs in the air. Let us know how much you care. Unfortunately, I can only see the likes from Facebook. So I got to say a big thank you to John Hefner, Brad Pond, Marianne Holmes, Joe Butler, and Tom Fassetti. Oh, Tom was watching me today. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. I didn't see any of his comments, so maybe you like me. Toronto beat Vegas. Yeah, I thought so. But they were Toronto. Matthews got 2 goals in this game. He's starting to heat up. That team is going to be good. There's no doubt in my mind that team is going to be good.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Am I going to shower tomorrow? Well, I hope I shower tomorrow. But yes, I will have a show tomorrow. Tomorrow's game is a late one. They are in LA. It is I want to say it's a 4:00 game here, which should be 9:00 your time.
I'm very excited about that. Well, I do DoorDash for a living, so I like to dash until about 7:00. So on the 7:00 games, I have to stop a little early to be on the show. So the late games, I'm starting to appreciate.
Hey, there you go. So I like them too. I was hoping they would both lose somehow. So yeah, tomorrow's game is a 4:00 game. So 3:30 my time. We'll be on at 8:30 Central Standard Time. Should be a good show. Pre-game will go in coast to coast. The intermissions, you just got to find me where you found me. Post-game will go in coast to coast. I don't want to put all 4 of them in coast to coast because they require me to do a picture and a tag, and I don't have time to do that all the time. So, but I'll keep doing that. That's what's going to suck. 2200 where I'll be. Yeah, you'll be in Philly. It'll be 10:00 there when the game starts. But you know what, Chris? This will be you do a good job, and the girl beside you. Well, Ashley appreciates that, and I do too. Brad. No, this is a lot of fun. This is we're finding our niche. We're finding people that enjoy us, and we're finding people that believe in what we do, and that's what's important. If you haven't seen the show on Apple TV Plus called Acapulco, check it out and check out the latest episode called All Night Long, because at the end of it, when one door opens, when the door closes, another one opens, and Ashley's my open door. Thank you, Ashley. Can't wait to see you. Have fun. Enjoy it. This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, for Ashley Slapshot Jones, saying aloha, mahalo, and we can't wait to see you tomorrow night on the Blue Note Fan Report. Aloha.